podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Paul, how goes it? Were you pleased to see the Moyes on the end of a good thumping?
I mean, beating Sunderland is low-key in the top 5 most enjoyable results in the Premier League. Maybe even higher than that. It might be like 4th. No, I reckon it's the 5th most enjoyable win we can get in the league.
It's pretty good. And really, I was pretty ambivalent towards Sunderland until about 5 years ago.
Yeah. And then I always sort of liked them. The nickname the Black Cats was always quite enjoyable. I liked Kevin Phillips, he was good. But recently, since 11-12, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, when Moyes goes down and there are tears at the Stadium of Light, I will be doing a Poznan in front of my TV.
There are 2 chants sung by opposing, the 2 worst chants, I think, sung at Man United by opposition fans. Apart from, is there a fire drill and, is this a library and all that sort of stuff, all that nonsense. We support our local team, always tiresome. But the 2 worst are Leicester fans singing, "Just like Leicester, your city is blue." Doesn't make any sense. Why are they on Man City's side? That's a really weird thing. And also, Leicester's a one-club city, so there's no kind of "your city is blue, our city is blue" thing that works for them. Doesn't make sense, and is small time, and is rubbish. And the other one is Sunderland fans singing, "We heard you singing when Sergio scored." You're literally singing about another team's triumph. I know United can be very small time when it comes to singing about Steven Gerrard, but my goodness, is there a more small time chant than that?
Yeah, desperately sad. But then again, this is a club which has a storied history of 0 success and just bounces between the Premier League and the Championship in the last few years. And they're going to go down. And as we talked about last week, their finances are not in good shape, and they'll have a choice of keeping David Moyes, which should help their stay in the Championship along, or not. And it's going to be a very difficult ride for this club now, I think. Even with the mega parachute payments that you get from the Premier League, they'll be shedding all their best players. Bye-bye, Sunderland fans. Anyway, I quite enjoyed United's victory. It was laboured for a long time, wasn't it? And then I suppose 3-0 felt about the right result in terms of United's dominance, but it didn't really seem like we'd get there for the first, I don't know, however many minutes. How long did it take till Zlatan scored? At about that many minutes, it didn't look like United were going to win comfortably at all.
Zlatan scored what was it, half an hour in, something like that. But yeah, maybe it was a bit sooner than that. And then the red card made it. I don't know, I was kind of worried that they would shut up shop and nick one after the red card, but they're so terrible. There was no need to be worried. Moyes said, "I don't want to blame referees for my position and us losing." That's a lie. You'd absolutely love to blame referees for your position and you losing. Today, the result was helped by the referee. Manchester United were playing well, but the red card was a decision that went against us.
Look, even he can't say that wasn't a red card. I mean, there was the usual bollocks on Twitter about people debating it. There's no debate about this one. I actually think the way he rolled over the top of the ball, it was deliberate. So I'd give him a double red card for that. This is, it's not just it was late. He went over the top and into the play. And he was very, very lucky that it didn't catch Herrera on his standing leg. Otherwise, we'd be seeing another Seamus Coleman.
So the first replay I saw, I thought it looked like a really harsh red card because it looked like he'd got his boot down well in time by the time he got to Herrera. But that was just not the case at all. Watching it again, it was very evidently, obviously a red card. And you say there was the usual rubbish on Twitter. That's that is what it is. But more worryingly than that, or more kind of culturally pertinent than that, was the fact that every pundit on the live television coverage in the UK, it was on Sky Sports, all unanimously agreed Niall Quinn really took the line of, I mean, Niall Quinn, a terrible pundit at the best of times, actually, all three terrible pundits, because it was Quinn, Phil Neville, Jamie Redknapp. I mean, that is a trio of terror when it comes to punditry. But they all agreed. And Quinn was banging on about yellow card at worst. And you just think, Seamus Coleman got his leg broken a week ago, or just over a week ago, and everyone's like, oh, this kind of tackle, it's terrible. And then as soon as somebody gets red carded for one that doesn't break someone's leg, they're all up in arms. And, the kind of, oh, you can't tackle in the game anymore nonsense that goes on. No, you can't tackle with your studs fully showing, pointing directly at the opponent's shin way above the ball. Like, that isn't, the art of tackling's a lost art.
Well, quite, yeah. And I think the rewrite of the rule a few years ago to make it quite a clear distinction between something that's careless and something that was dangerous, i.e. there was no control, and it could well injure an opponent. So, it's really, really super clear, and I thought the referee got it right, and it was quite clear from his sort of body language that the red card was about to come out. In any case, look, United were well on top before the red card. Didn't necessarily look like United were going to score until Zlatan came up with a piece of magic. And this is, I mean, for Zlatan, it might seem like an ordinary goal, but this isn't even a half chance. He's, beautiful control with his back to goal. I thought he's just going to lay it off. And suddenly there's a half a step and it's whipped into the corner. Beautiful finish. Great goal.
Yeah. I mean, like one of those where you just want to sort of stop and applaud. And lots of people had been absolutely slating Ibrahimovic on social media before that because he was kind of having a slightly ropey game. Although I think that was slightly overblown. Like there was a really nice backheeled through ball to Lingard before that and another couple of decent bits of hold-up play. I didn't think he was having like one of those Ibrahimovic stinkers before that. But the goal, there wasn't anything in his performance that said that was coming, apart from he is Zlatan. It's amazing that he can just do that in those circumstances. All three goals really kind of special goals in one way or another. And all kind of aided by poor Sunderland defending. Like Sunderland could have closed Ibrahimovic down they were getting hammered, the Sunderland defenders. Right. And I thought, it all happened very quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, it's really only half a step. And he's just got enough space. It's like where Beckham managed to get himself half a step to whip in a cross. Zlatan got himself a little bit of space and he whipped that ball into the corner. And Pickford's a good goalkeeper, I think he'll go on to be a fine goalkeeper, perhaps even an England international, which isn't really a benchmark of any quality, but still, and the ball's like, not only is it coming at pace and it's just like viciously dips just before it gets to the keeper, and I think that's done the keeper as much as anything. So, fine goal, and then obviously the red card just before that and just after that, and I guess the game's over at that point. It's definitely over when, however many seconds into the second half, Mkhitaryan scored, and Moyes, I'm sure, was going mental on the sidelines for that one because he will have had something to say to his players at halftime, which have been something along the lines of, "You fools, you haven't scored in 8 games. It's not my fault." Or, "No, we're going down, lads." This is probably more like Moyes, actually. It's probably a message of doom at halftime, just in case his players weren't doomed enough. And because Mkhitaryan scores straight away after halftime, it ends the game, basically.
It was bad defending, but it was glorious from Mkhitaryan, wasn't it? Like, he just made it all himself. Beat the man, beautiful finish into the far corner. Really difficult to finish from that angle, and just like really, wonderful. Another wonderful goal.
And wonderful goal, but I'm not sure he was having a good game before that.
Nope.
And he hasn't had a good game in the last few starts he's had either. He's had a bit of a dip since that he came back into the side, and there's that kind of rush of games and beautiful performances and ridiculous goals. Last month or so, he's dipped a little bit. We certainly need him for the remaining 8 games. United probably going to have to win all 8 of them in order to guarantee qualification for the top 4. Although, given the team selection, you do wonder whether Jose has thought, on the balance of probabilities, we might not make the top four, so we're going to put all our eggs into the Europa League basket.
I mean, I don't know. It's like we're going to put half our eggs into the Europa League basket, right? Because he plays Mkhitaryan, Ibrahimovic, Pogba, Herrera. The centre-back partnership was as strong as it could have been with the injuries and everything. So it was just a few key spots. Notably, of course, goalkeeper. Romero playing, De Gea having a little problem. Not the same as an injury. And I thought that De Gea's performance against Everton was kind of noteworthy for being not his best, and rumours of some sort of words on the training ground. Who knows whether that's true or not? Between Mourinho and De Gea, and you wonder whether his head's been turned again. His amazingly coiffed head with the kind of Travis Bickle that he's rocking at the moment.
Yeah, although this time, of course, United hold the player's destiny in their hands, and it's going to take a mega fee for him to leave.
Yeah.
Unless those previous rumours of some kind of release clause in the contract are true. Seems unlikely.
Romero did well again. Like, I'm not really tested except for that one save against the Anichebe where Eric Bailly fully just kicks Anichebe standing leg out from under him. Like the ball's long gone and Bailly's like, okay, I better give away a penalty here. So good job nobody spotted that happened, because he definitely didn't need to make that challenge because Romero had it covered. David Moyes, after the game, he said, we were hanging in the game and staying in the game and trying to do our best. It's classic Moyesy, trying to do our best. We kept going. We have another home game next Saturday and we have to try and win it. We do some good things, but just lack a bit of quality. But it's not for the want of trying. Classic. And then he says, after a bit, the hardest thing as a manager is losing, and we're losing a lot.
Good. I mean, I'd say Moyes probably wouldn't be getting any sleep, but he's probably trying to get some sleep.
The other really notable things about the team selection were there's only one player in the starting 11, and indeed the subs that came on. Only one of any of those players played competitive football for Sir Alex Ferguson, and that was Paul Pogba, so that kind of hardly counts because certainly wasn't in the last squad. And only one of them indeed played competitive football, even kind of more remarkably, only one of them played competitive football for David Moyes, and that was the captain, Marouane Fellaini.
Oh, God. I mean, we probably ought not to repeat what was said in the Rankcast WhatsApp group about that particular decision. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I basically thought that Jose was giving up on the Premier League with the team selection, but clearly he knows best, and Sunderland are truly, truly awful. What an honour for Marouane. He's truly earned it, or something. On the Fergie thing, well, I mean, we're only a month away from it being 4 years since Ferguson retired. 4.
Yeah, absolutely. But I guess the Moyes stat, that's then 3 years, and that's kind of even more. It's more than 3 years. In fact, just over 3 years since Moyes was sacked. So like or maybe he hadn't been sacked yet by now, actually. But anyway, it was about this time. So in 3 years, they've kind of turned over pretty much an entire squad. Not an entire squad, but we put out an 11 that doesn't have anyone that played for them in it. It feels like we are kind of fully in the next era now, really.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and interesting bench for United today as well, wasn't it? Blint, Rashford, and Martial being around, but no De Gea even on the bench. Tuanzebe and Fosu Mensah both made the bench. So,
and Pereira is
the backup keeper, who a lot of people have high hopes for him as a high quality man to come. Not sure he's going to get a chance at United. And who's the last youth keeper who came through and actually made it at United? I mean, Pilkington.
Gary Bailey?
Pilkington was always a reserve, wasn't he? But Gary Bailey as a
Did Bailey come through the squad? Why do I think he did? That might not even be true.
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember. I don't remember where he was acquired from. But, I mean, it's super hard, though, because who gives 18-year-old keepers an opportunity? No one.
I'll tell you who doesn't, who definitely doesn't. That's Jose Mourinho.
You saying he's got a problem with young players?
Listen. He was 20 when he signed for us, Gary Bailey. He had previously played for Cape Town City and Wits University.
Don't really count, do they?
No. The thing about that...
Fine keeper, though, by the way, if you remember him.
He was. Luke Shaw, worth a word.
Worth a word, had a decent game.
Yeah, really decent, I thought.
A couple of moments where it looked like it was back to old Shaw bursting past players. That's what we want, really. He got a beautiful return ball from Zlatan and whipped in across, which Fellaini conspired to fall over.
His feet so modelled, it was funny. Poor
But yeah, a few moments from Luke Shaw, and he was really pissed off getting subbed off. But a nice moment of mind games from Mourinho after having had a go at him twice in the last week. He made a big show, shaking his hands and slapping him on the back and giving him some encouragement as he came off.
Classic Mourinho, isn't it?
Classic Mourinho.
The Fellaini thing, I mean, I think it's pretty evident that he was the captain on grounds of seniority. I think that's because he was the player that had been at the club the longest out of everyone in that starting 11.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a kind of remarkable thing. Final goal was after some changes had been made, and it was absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous goal. The pass from Pogba sat really deep, who didn't have a great game, but really showed his quality with that pass. Finds Rashford, who does some really nice interplay with Ibrahimovic, and then slots home beautifully the kind of chance that's been getting saved of late for Rashford.
So would you classify that as a goal on the counter-attack or not? It's more from open play? See, I had a look at this stat earlier this week because I was just had a kind of inkling about it. How many goals do you think United have scored in the league this year from counter-attacks?
It feels like a decent number.
Go on, pick a number.
I don't know. We haven't scored any goals in the league this season. Right, hold on. Let me look up.
No, don't go cheating.
No, I'm not cheating.
I'm
not cheating. I just said I am cheating. I'm not cheating. I'm just looking at how many goals we've scored in total. 46.
Oh,
so 10 counter-attacking goals?
Nope.
What is
1?
Okay.
1.
Okay.
1.
Right.
1. And it's actually not a surprise because although United do have a number of speedy players, they rarely all play at the same time, and the centre forward is Zlatan, who does tend to slow things down.
I feel like this is...
Except when he's shooting, of course.
I feel like this is kind of a question of what counts as a counter-attack, really. Because I don't think really the reason that it's so few, although 1, that's a real low number, but I think it's also got to do with the fact that we've just got the ball all the time. And we've scored a lot of goals from breaking down opposition play somewhere around the halfway line and then springing into action, which is sort of like a half counter-attack.
No, it isn't.
Okay, so
56% possession on average for United, which was pretty Van Gaal-esque. So yes, you're right. United have kept the ball an awful lot this season, which of course would reduce the opportunities to counter-attack. But still, I just thought it kind of pointed to something about this United side. It's one of the reasons why United have only scored 46 goals.
Do you know what the definition of counter-attacking is in this context?
I don't. I haven't. There will be a definition because Opta will have a definition.
Yeah. I think that'd be interesting to look up to make sense of that stat, really. I mean, United had 70.5% possession against Sunderland, and it felt like kind of complete dominance. But a lot of it felt kind of sterile, and in the end, 3-0 was great. It was like, I don't know, 3 brilliant moments of quality in an otherwise quite a game that was kind of generally a bit lacking in quality.
And the one other amazing thing about the Sunderland team, no United players in it. Ex-United players. Because normally there's about 12 of them in there. Darren Gibson on the bench. Yeah. But no Brown, no O'Shea, no McNair. Who else have they got? Donald Love. None of those guys.
Brown is at Blackburn Rovers now. By the way.
Yes, that's why. Yeah. One other interesting stat. How many times do you think Jermaine Defoe touched the ball?
I've got the Who Scored page up, but I'm not going to look. I'm going to go with 11.
Nearly 8. 8. Sergio Romero made twice the amount of passes.
It's not good for Sunderland, is it? And he did he kind of caught one pretty sweet and went a little way over the bar.
Yeah, and the free kick was on target.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I thought Shaw was really excellent. The goals were all real excellent. Nothing else really of note in that game.
No, I mean, it was desperately needed victory. I mean, Spurs won, City won. I'm going to hazard to guess. I can't remember what their score was now. Liverpool made a very late comeback at Stoke. Big result for them. Arsenal played Palace on Monday night. So, it was obviously it's one of those games United had to win because they're playing the worst team in the country.
Yeah.
But also just the situation in the league. I mean, win the game in hand and United are a point behind City.
Yeah.
So,
that's winning the game.
Fourth place is
winning the game
fourth place
in hand against City, isn't it?
Against City, yeah. So look, well, it's not a game in hand on City if it's against City. But, hey, look,
okay.
But just I think it's just the run of results that United have had this season. The inconsistency. It's hard to see. It's hard to see us winning the next 8 in a row. But you never know. You never. 21. Was it 20 or 21 games unbeaten in the league now? A lot.
I wonder whether we'll sustain that unbeaten run into. I guess we should. We plan to preview the Anderlecht game. I know we've got a special preview of the Anderlecht game coming up, but the other game we should probably preview is Chelsea next weekend because I doubt we're going to be able to do a show between the Anderlecht game and the Chelsea game. So that's going to be absolutely massive, isn't it? And I guess after we take a few Rantcast questions and listen to the Anderlecht preview, we'll come on to talking about Chelsea. Anything else from Sunderland before we move on?
No, I'm just thoroughly looking forward to the day they get relegated, which will be very soon. And they are 10 points behind Hull City in 17th, so it's not going to take very long, depending on the results around them. But they'll be done quite soon. And then maybe Moyes will get the ignominy of being sacked again. He was sacked by United inside a year. He was sacked by Sociedad inside a year. And, I think he may well be sacked by Sunderland inside a year.
The trifecta. Can we just take a moment to once again point out that loads of people agreed that David Moyes getting the United job was good? What a world. What a world. It happened. It really happened. This time, 3 years ago, David Moyes was manager of Manchester United.
You know what? It was purely a framing bias. Purely, right? Because he was sold to us as being a continuity manager, right? And that's code. That's a dog whistle for Scottish, right? So subtly in the back of everyone's heads, they were like, oh, he's basically Scottish, which means he's basically mini Fergie. Fergie's good. Right? That's exactly what's happened there.
Yes. But in fact, he was completely terrible and has continued to demonstrate his terribleness ever since. So let's get some...
He's a right ugly bastard as well.
Oh, come on now. Come on.
Sorry, I just had to say
that
it.
feels really unnecessary. Listen, surely we're above that, Ed. Surely we're above personal appearance-based attacks.
No.
Okay.
No, don't think so.
Right, okay.
And I tell you what, he is actually a Photoshop user's dream because he really jack up the contrast on a photo and the kind of mid-range on a photo of David Moyes. It makes him look like some kind of freaky horror show because he's so wrinkly.
I'd just like to distance myself from all remarks concerning David Moyes' personal appearance, which, he can't. It's his fault he's a terrible football manager. It's not his fault he looks funny.
Well. I don't know about that. Can you prove otherwise?
This is terrible. This is like appearance shaming. It's totally unacceptable.
All right, let's move on.
All right. At Gandhi YMJ says, how sick are you of hearing pundits use the word intent? If intent mattered, we'd hardly ever see a sending off.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at all. It's not in the laws. I always find this really strange, right? They pay these guys, in some cases, millions of pounds a year to do punditry because they're ex-pros. What the thinking being, because they're ex-pros, they understand the game. Except they don't understand some of the fundamentals because they spend 75% of their time talking about the referee and none of them understand the laws of the game at all. It doesn't take a lot. Just bloody read them.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of would seem like it might be taking quite a lot out of Jamie Redknapp if you'd made him read a big document with complex language in it. I'm not sure.
Or even like a Mr. Men book. Maybe there is a Mr. Men read the laws of the game.
At Atishay_J says, who's Diego, Paul? Beautiful moment. So good. This moment. On the crowd starts singing the Diego Forlan song, and the cameras just fortunately cut to Mourinho as he's whispering over his shoulder, who's Diego? And Michael Carrick, you can see him say Forlan. And then Jose says, why? Like, why are they singing about Forlan? And then Carrick explains it to him, and Jose kind of has a little chuckle, and Carrick cracks up laughing. Good. It was real good.
It was good stuff, yeah.
It was a good moment. My friend at Joshua Graham 93 in all caps. Lingard makes too much running money. I should say that my friend Joshua is joking about this. The reaction to Jesse Lingard's contract has been out of control.
Really has, hasn't it? I mean, look, a bunch of things to say here, I think. One is 100k is the new 50k. Right? Just look at the last two contracts, TV contracts. Massive increase each time. 60% and 80% in the total value, and then look at the ratio of player wages to TV revenue, right? And there's almost 1-to-1. It's like 0.9 something in the R squared correlation between wages rising and TV revenue rising, right?
Yeah.
So this is why the contract is the number it is. So that's one thing. So it has to be in context. And then the second thing is, look, Lingard puts up good numbers and he's one of our own, right? Why wouldn't you want to keep him? He takes an awful lot of criticism, but for a player who takes so much criticism, his numbers are really good, and he scored in 2 cup finals.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's how I feel about it. I think for a start, like, there is another number doing the round, which is 75,000 a week, which it wouldn't be totally surprising if that turned out to be closer to the real number, given how the bigger number is always going to generate the most clicks and interest. There's another thing about this. So people rightly say that one of the problems at United in the last few years has been too many players not worthy of the salaries that they're being paid. And that's definitely been a problem at all different levels of the club. So you've got Ashley Young on 120 grand a week, and that's 120 grand a week when that really meant something.
Right.
Then you've got Rooney on 300, Bastian Schweinsteiger on 200 plus, just literally in the reserves. So there is a problem with wage spending at United in terms of extracting value. But
United's wages are the biggest in Europe.
Yeah.
And the world, right?
Yeah.
In football terms, yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean United are bad at deciding wages. It could also mean that actually playing for Man United is only really akin to playing for a couple of other clubs in the world in terms of the extent to which your personal life is gone forever. Like, you are public property and you're going to be subject to tons of hostile...
It's not danger money. I mean, look, United are paying those kind of wages because they feel they're competitive for the players that they're chasing, right? And that's okay. All clubs do that. They're going to set a wage budget and they're going to pay players accordingly, right? So United's wage budget is very high because they make more revenue than any club on the planet, right? And forex changes aside,
Yeah.
right? That could change by the time the next report is published and the next accounts are published, right? So I don't think it's about danger money for players because they're in the public eye. It's just this is what the wages that United want to pay, right? The real problem is that the performance to wages isn't right. So United are 5th in the league at the moment, played a game in hand over Arsenal, so 5th or 6th. And yet they pay the highest wages in the Premier League.
Yeah.
That's not right.
And it's not. The other thing that I was going to say, though, it's not just about like being a public figure as in danger money, but also like the reason United's revenues are the biggest anywhere is because United do the most commercial work anywhere, and all the commercial work is focused around the players.
Yeah,
you know, they're at the heart of it. Yeah. So they are earning fortunes for United and marketable players.
Yeah, although, of course, United will buy that. They will buy that through image rights. Almost all the contracts have an addendum on them, which is about image rights, and often they're the ones that the HMRC always wants to look at because they're paid through a corporation registered in the player's name, usually offshore. As if they're buying something other than, these are basically wages, but they're treated differently.
Well, that's a kind of interesting thing, and you wonder whether that's been changed a bit in the wake of HMRC's interests, because there was talk at the time, wasn't there, when that started to become a big story of maybe the clubs having to do things slightly differently. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, $100,000 a week is a lot for a player like Jesse Lingard, but it is kind of the going rate, and a lot of. I don't know. I really think that a lot of the conversation around Lingard is because of the way United fans, paradoxically, treat the players who've come through the club. Like, the demands the crowd make. And this isn't, by the way, this is a thing that gets thrown around a lot, is like the real fans at Old Trafford aren't like this, but online fans are. But Old Trafford is at least as bad for this, for getting on young players' backs when they're not doing well. I mean, when Mark Ogden tweeted that Lingard divides opinion, and Gary Neville, I think genuinely, was like, divides opinion among who? Because he just takes it for granted that people think Lingard's good. And when loads of people replied to him, United fans, he was like, well, it's not real United fans, is it? Real United fans can't be like on the back of one of the players. And I thought it was kind of a good example of Neville, in spite of being seeped in the culture, not really quite getting the culture, because it's a myth that United fans kind of root for their own above anyone else. Like, think about the way Welbeck was talked about, or, anytime there are imperfections, that's it, they're useless, They're only getting in the team because they're a young United youngster.
Yes, but that is an internet thing. It's not in... I know, down the pub at Old Trafford, people will have a moan, and there's of course... In a way, there's a tendency to be more critical of your own because you have higher expectations, right? But it's not in Old Trafford.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Lingard, of course it is. Every time Lingard misplaces a pass, if you're at Old Trafford, you hear loads of people moaning about him.
Well, you hear loads of people moaning about Fellaini as well when he misplaces pass after pass after pass.
Yes, that's a different category. But no, I mean, Welbeck used to get endless stick inside Old Trafford.
Should never have sold Danny. No, never.
Oh, talking of which we should never have sold Danny. Mourinho's been banging on about Chicharito again. At D_Keho says, would Chicharito have scored 20 goals so far this season?
Well, no, because he'd have been on the bench all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, he's not that good, is he? Like, he's good.
He's a
not
good goal
that
scorer.
good.
I mean, his record everywhere when he gets a game is good. Yeah. He's got a very good international record. He's the leading goal-scoring Mexican history now, isn't he? Didn't he just break the record?
Well done.
Or he's about to. He may have equalled it. And he's been scoring plenty of goals at Leverkusen. So, yeah, I mean... It didn't make a lot of sense to sell him in the context of what we now have. It wouldn't have made any more sense to buy him back or anything like that if he was going to play 10 games from the bench, because Zlatan's in the side all the time.
Steve Williams at Across the Keeper says, how brilliant and also unbelievably infuriating is Ibrahimovic? Yeah,
I mean, look, my feeling on this one is 28 goals now this season, absolutely amazing, and some absolute crackers, including today's, that perhaps only Zlatan could have scored, right? Absolute brilliant goal. There's something at the back of my mind says, I wonder whether United would be a better team without him in it. I mean, given you'd have to have the right centre-forward in there, and Martial and to an even greater extent, Rashford are unproven, being able to do it over the course of a season in that position. But there's something about Ibrahimovic's total lack of movement, except when the final ball is going to be played, that does make a difference to United's ability to attack at pace. Undoubtedly.
He referenced Benjamin Button in his post-match interview. At Chris Bentley 13 says, what other movies would be worthy of reference by Zlatan? I feel like maybe something with Antonio Banderas, but it's more like a look thing at the moment with the kind of pulled back hair and all that. The Last Samurai, that kind of makes sense. Groundhog Day, because it's the same. Like, just he's kind of confusingly terrible and then scores a wonder goal. That's just...
What's that one with Jim Carrey? Bruce Almighty, because Zlatan does think he's God.
Yeah, and much like the character in Bruce Almighty, he actually is. So, it works. Assuming United don't win the Europa League, asks Adam Mac L95, and get a top 4 finish, where does Mourinho go and who replaces him? Oh dear. Was Mourinho trolling Moyes by making Fellaini captain? Asks at BillyBob1310.
Maybe. I don't know. Moyes would have probably taken it as some kind of credit to him.
Fellaini at Afridi fan _MUFC says Fellaini has a 100% record as captain, and United scored 3 goals in a game in his captaincy. Do you think he can get it permanently? Maybe that's it.
Yeah,
maybe he's an inspiration.
Yeah, totally. No.
All right. At Gary _1105, with Jose's comments about Chicharito, are there any other players who left under Moyes or Van Gaal that you'd like to see come back? I'm going to exclude Danny from this conversation because obviously the answer is Danny.
Well, no, not in their current state. I mean, look, there's some talented players. I mean, Nani was let go for way too cheap, given how good he is, but I don't think you'd take him back, and I don't think he'd really improve this side. Memphis should have been better, but he wasn't. He's doing well at Lyon. He's got a goal from the halfway line, for God's sake, and he's got a few others as well. So, no, I don't think so. I think, Welbeck's the one that didn't make an awful lot of sense to sell. I don't see the benefit that United gained from selling him.
No, I mean, we sold him because we were replacing him with Radamel Falcao, but not the real Radamel Falcao, the broken shell of a man. And last question, how can they still call it Final Fantasy? Asks at Ben Glorious. Yeah, Final Fantasy 15. 15! It's not a final, is it? It's the greatest tautology in all of naming convention. We should also say that 3 weeks ago on the show, we ran a competition for the art of football to give away a lovely Zlatan Ibrahimovic t-shirt, and completely forgot last week, because it had been so long since the previous show, to award a winner of that competition. So we should do so now.
All right, what are our top 3?
Okay. At Machiavelli says, favourite Zlatan goal, the one against Liverpool. I still have no idea how he got down and put that much power on the header. Peter Fairchild at Pedro88852 says his favourite Zlatan goals versus Bournemouth in the first game of the season. People weren't doubting that after that. Great strike too. It was absolutely lovely. At Grey Badger 1261 says his favourite was at home to Middlesbrough, because Fergie's right, the refs are, the goal that never was against Middlesbrough. And Don McDowell also going for the goal that was disallowed against Middlesbrough. But I think and a third person at TJ Granado disallowed flying kick versus Borough, because that moment, finally left to oblivion, must be remembered once more for its brilliance. That was a real good one. But all those 3 are disallowed because it wasn't like the goal. They're disallowed. I
don't know. I don't know. Should have been a goal, shouldn't it?
Okay, but the thing is, 3 people all picked that goal, and we can't give it to one of them. And we haven't got 3 T-shirts to give away, Ed. So I think we should disallow them for the sake of,
Oh, I think they're moral victors. That's what I think.
And at Jamesy Cantona says he liked the goal best, the winner in the final, because we were second best all match, and that was his Cantona moment. That's pretty good shout.
He's got plenty of great goals. I mean, look, even his opening goal for Leicester, he's got no right to bully Wes Morgan against Leicester, so not for Leicester, in the Charity Shield. And that's a great goal. And he's kept scoring them like that ever since.
All right, so if you're saying that we can count the Middlesbrough one, then I think I'm going to give it to @TJ Granado, because he said before that moment is finally left at oblivion, it must be remembered once more for its brilliance, which is a Zlatan-esque piece of writing, and it's kind of a piece of art in itself, and this is for the art of football that we're giving this away. So I think that sort of works, doesn't it?
Yeah. All right. Congratulations.
Well done, TJ. I will be in touch on the Twitter to get details of where we should send that T-shirt to. Talking of T-shirts, by the way, nobody got in touch after last week of the bit that I put in the backers show about how you got to get in touch with me with your T-shirt size if you're in the T-shirt tier or the art tier or the interaction tier.
Well, if you don't, we'll all send you triple X's because just assume you're fat.
Listen, stop body shaming people, Ed. That's not what this show stands for. Surely we must be better.
Look, I'm not body shaming. I'm just going on the average size that I see at Sam Platt's, just as a,
We've got talking of the Patreon thing. If you want to get extra content every week, you head over to patreon.com/rankcast and look at how you can support the show at various different levels to get various trinkets and goodies and more Rankcast content every week. The reason that we do that is enable us to put some more time into the show. One of the reasons we do that is to be able to get guests on the show, which we have now. Ed, for once, it's over to you.
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting, this one. So George Nott dropped me an email not long ago. He works at Football Radar, which is one of these newfangled data and analytics companies in the football space. Always of interest to me. I mean, it's use a lot of data in my day job. Have a degree in that sort of general area. And George said to me in his opening email, "Hi Ed, I've watched every Anderlecht game for the last 18 months." I thought, hell, the sad. So I had to talk to him. So George, thanks for joining us. I hadn't actually heard of Football Radar before you got in touch. Give us a quick elevator pitch on what the company is, football sort of analytics and data.
Yeah, so I work for, as you said, a company called Football Radar. We're based in London, and we're a sort of a data and statistical modelling company looking into football. So there's sort of we're just shy of 200 people there, and we spend every day looking into football at the moment we cover about 40 leagues worldwide, and then sort of follow a good sort of 40 or 50 beyond that as well. Just watching and recording data day in, day out on these various leagues to try and just...
So you build your own data sets then? You're not using the sort of Opta database?
We sort of control the whole pipeline from the data entry at the very beginning to then the modelling beyond that. And we try and look at football in a slightly different way. I think part of the thing was often thinking with people like Opta that in a way some of those stats can perhaps be a little misleading when you're just looking at sort of completed passes or shots on target or that sort of thing. So we've tried to look at it from perhaps a slightly more subjective way of analysing football, as opposed to just looking at sort of pure stats that perhaps someone like Opta would look at.
Right. Okay. Interesting. So you mentioned in your email that you day in, day out cover the Belgian Jupiler Pro League. Sorry about that. What did you do to get that gig? Was it the short straw?
I do indeed cover the Jupiler Pro League. I mean, in fairness, when you work at a company that sort of covers so many leagues worldwide, getting to cover somewhere like Belgium perhaps isn't perhaps as bad as it sounds. I sort of, when you start working at Football Radar, you work as what's called a match analyst, and you just watch games from across the globe. And then if you progress to where I am now, it's the league analyst, you focus on a league. So we've got people focusing on pretty much every league from the Premier League and the Bundesliga to Japanese second tier and the Brazilian second tier. And I sort of just, honestly kind of ended up on Belgium because there was a vacancy there. And since I've covered the Belgian Pro League for pretty much about a year now, and it's actually, football's quite entertaining. I mean, hopefully yourself and United fans and sort of general football fans will see on these 2 Europa League ties that, the standard of football in Belgium isn't too bad.
Right. Yeah. So I think the general sense from over here in England is that Belgian football isn't very high quality because we don't see a lot of Belgian teams in the latter stages of the Champions League and so on. But there were 3 towards the latter end of the Europa League. 2 of them played each other in the last round, and obviously Anderlecht playing United now. So does that say something about the standard of the league? Is it decent? Where would you rank it in terms of in English terms? How good is it, the Belgian league?
It's a slightly odd one because the teams at the top, so the teams that you're talking about who kind of got through to the last stage of the Europa League, they're good. I mean, I think Anderlecht and Bruges and perhaps the likes of Ghent and Genk could compete in the Premier League. Not at the top end, for sure, not the top end. I think they'd be Premier League sides. I think the difference you get with Belgium is the sides at the bottom are maybe closer to your sort of maybe a League One standard side. So there's quite a big gulf in quality and quite a big gulf in sort of financial muscle in the teams. But your sides like Anderlecht and Bruges, I mean, Bruges were quite badly represented in the Champions League this year because they had so many injuries during their campaign. But I think these are sides that, I watch them week in, week out, and they're as good, if not better, than a decent amount of sides in the Premier League.
Okay, cool. And so Anderlecht this year, they're top, I see the top of the Jupiler League. Are they still the biggest club in Belgium? Is this to be expected? Are they winning the league every year?
No, they're not winning the league actually. In terms of the history of Belgian football, they're the most successful club, but they've sort of dropped off a bit in a while. Expectations from the fans are really high. But the past couple of years, they've really dropped off. I mean, Bruges last year were runaway winners really in the end, and they were terrific. But this season, so the start of the season, Anderlecht got a new manager in a Swiss guy called René Weiler, and he has really turned them around this season. They've gone from being a very flaky side last year that would routinely concede sort of very sloppy goals to now being much more solid. And so if they do win the league this season, which they're sort of beginning to establish themselves as favourites, I think this will be the first time they've won the league since 2014, which isn't too bad. But for a side of sort of the expectations that come with being Anderlecht, until this season they had dropped off a bit recently.
So who are the players we know? I mean, I looked through the squad list, and I like to think of myself not necessarily a football hipster, but a man of the football world. I have to say I didn't know too many of these players. Diego Capel I'd heard of, obviously played for Spain many years back. But who are the real stars in this squad?
Well, Diego Capel is definitely not one of the stars in the squad, despite probably being the most recognisable name. I'd be surprised if he even makes the bench against Man United. I think, aside from him, another name that sort of some football fans might be beginning to hear a bit of is that of Yuri Tielemans, who is a 19-year-old centre midfielder at Anderlecht. He's a Belgian youngster, and I would be highly surprised if over the next couple of years we are not seeing him playing at the highest level of football. He is he's just brilliant. I mean, as I say, he's only 19 years old. He's played 43 games this season. He's got 18 goals and 11 assists. And he's a centre midfielder, and not even a particularly attack-minded centre midfielder. He's scored a few absolute screamers this season in the league in Belgium. I'm talking sort of 35, 40-yard hits into the top corner. This season, he's kind of established himself as the mainstay there, and has also got a couple of Belgian caps now. And alongside him is their other centre midfielder, another Belgian, a guy called Leander Den Donker. He's only 21, and the Anderlecht fans affectionately call him Robocop because he sort of plays a defensive midfield role and just runs and runs and runs. I think I was looking up earlier, and he's played over 70 hours of football this season already, across 47 games. He was also in the Belgian squad, and I think when the last internationals came out, there was a sort of a graphic showing the number of minutes all the players in the Belgian squad had played this season, and Den Donker and Tielemans were by far and away the two players in it with the most minutes in all competitions. But because of their age, they're sort of showing no sign of letting up.
And then this is a very high quality Belgian squad as well. Perhaps underperformed at the recent World Cup and the European Championships. Maybe, I mean, in terms of the expectations that have been built up around the quality of the individual players. But so I guess Den Donker and Tielemans must be very high quality if they're making it into that squad now.
Yeah, I agree, and it looks like Roberto Martinez agrees as well. It's interesting actually with Tielemans. He started in their friendly against Russia and was fantastic and came off with them 3-1 up, and the game ended 3-3. I mean, that's not to say it was a sort of necessarily the removal of Tielemans from the pitch that changed it, but for a 19-year-old, he's an extremely mature footballer. I mean, he's the vice captain at Anderlecht and has had the captain's armband many a times, despite the fact that they've got kind of 35-year-olds who have been at the club all their life, and he still is the one who takes the armband. He is a real talent, and Martinez sees exactly the same.
Right. So, what kind of system will we be expecting from Anderlecht then?
They generally go with it's a 4-3-3 really, 4-5-1, 4-3-3, depending on sort of whether they're going to be a bit more defensive, which I would imagine, depending on the score in the first leg. I mean, the second leg at Old Trafford might be more of a 4-5-1, and they sort of play with They have a striker called Lukas Teodorczyk, who's a Polish striker, sort of a big guy, about 6'4", and he's the top scorer in the league this season. So they'll sort of use him up top as a hold-up man, and then they kind of have a few sort of not necessarily the fastest of players, but quite sort of versatile, tricky, attacking midfield style wingers who all sort of play off him as a three and kind of interchange positions a little bit as they go.
Okay. Yeah, so one of United's problems this season is scoring goals. 3 at Sunderland yesterday, but that's definitely against the general pattern this season. What can we expect from the Anderlecht defence? Are they mean-spirited and likely to cause United problems? The general tactic, if you want to beat United, is to play very narrow and very deep. And it seems that United don't have an answer to that at the moment.
Yeah, although unfortunately that's often sort of not proven to be one of Anderlecht's strengths, and is where United they might get at Anderlecht that way. Last season they were shocking defensively. They've sort of improved this season a bit under René Weiler, but I mean, they score a lot of goals. They're the top scorers in the league in Belgium, but they also concede quite a few. And I think probably the striker this season that's caused Anderlecht the most trouble was when they played Zenit St. Petersburg in the Europa League, Artem Dzyuba, if I'm pronouncing his name rightly. And I think he's kind of a striker in a way in the mould of Ibrahimovic, a big, strong, physical presence up top. And he was kind of continually causing problems for Anderlecht. They have a guy called Uros Spajic at centre-half, who's a good young centre-half, but perhaps physically isn't always up to the task. And I think that could be a way where United could get at Anderlecht.
Mm. Yeah, and Ibrahimovic certainly bullied the Saint Etienne defence in the last round, who were probably good players, but probably a bit lightweight. Not that he gets involved in the games very much. The sort of irony with Ibrahimovic is that he's played a lot of very poor games this season, but scored 28 goals, so we're not complaining. So how did Anderlecht beat United then? What do you think the approach will be to try and win over the 2 legs?
I mean, I think the first leg will be pretty key, because I wouldn't really see them going to Old Trafford and taking results. So I think it would be about trying to get something in the first leg. Maybe sort of looking at using Teodorczyk to try and sort of nick a goal in his classic way. I mean, I think he's the 4th top scorer in the Europa League this season with 5 goals. And so when they're at home, they can kind of use that home advantage to almost kind of bombard Man United a bit and get the crowd on their side. And then, we've just been talking about whether Anderlecht could shut up shop if the sort of the score was right at Old Trafford. I think that will be kind of what they have to do. I mean, they know they go into this game as real underdogs. Man United are sort of probably the favourites to win the tournament. So anything they can get here would be a huge bonus for them. But I think it's going to be a case of the home leg in Brussels being almost sort of setting the stall for the tie, I feel.
Okay. Well, what's the atmosphere like at the Van den Stock? Do the Anderlecht fans whip up some noise?
They do, yeah, they do. It's they're a very well supported club, and they sort of have it's mixed between seating and standing, and sort of behind one of the goals they have an area where a lot of the kind of the fans who make a lot of noise stand, and when Anderlecht get going down that end, they can whip up quite a noise. It's sort of a strange stadium because, as I was saying earlier, there's such a gulf in quality in some of the teams in Belgium. So often you'll see Anderlecht at home if they're playing a side down the bottom of the league. The atmosphere, there can be a lot of empty seats, but the United game will. I'm pretty certain it sold out quite a while ago actually, and the atmosphere will be great for it. It can make a lot of noise. The fans are quite close to the pitch at the stadium. So yeah, I'd expect a good atmosphere.
Very good. So, what do you think? Your prediction for the tie over the two legs? Give us the argument for Anderlecht winning.
I mean, I was going to say my prediction for the tie is probably Man United going through actually, but I think the argument for Anderlecht winning will be perhaps Man United underestimating Anderlecht a little bit, and perhaps they are a team of real quality. I think. I wouldn't put it past Yuri Tielemans to hit one in from sort of 35 yards. This is exactly the sort of game where he'd do that sort of thing, get himself right in the book. I mean, you've got to bear in mind for a lot of these players, people don't watch the Belgian league very much. So for a lot of these Anderlecht players, this is the biggest game of their season by a long way. They're going to have an audience 100 times the size of the audience that they get for most of the games that they play in. So I think they'll be, if they can get fired up for it, and then if they can sort of use their key players well and just avoid defensive errors, because so many of the goals they concede can just be from sloppy defending, then that will be the case for Anderlecht going through. But in all honesty, I think it's probably a little more likely that United have got enough to sort of see them through. I mean, obviously United played St Etienne was in the round of 32, and they actually won the group that Anderlecht were in. Over 2 games against Anderlecht, I think one was a draw away in St Etienne, and then St Etienne beat Anderlecht in Brussels. And given how United, if I remember rightly, sort of cruised past St Etienne with relative ease, that could be a sort of a sign of how you might approach it against Anderlecht.
So, final sort of set of questions. United have had 4 Belgian players, as far as I can remember. There might be some I'm missing. How many can you name?
Well, Fellaini off the top of my head would be the first one. Then I'm trying to think if I can even think of any beyond that, which is slightly alarming.
So there's Adnan Januzaj, who's currently on loan at Sunderland, and probably everyone's a bit disappointed how it's turned out with him because of his supreme talent and potentially suspect attitude. And then a few years ago, Richie DeLate, who's now at Aston Villa.
Yeah, a very
and Marnik Vermeij, who was a very talented player in the youth team. But
he's in the Championship. Is he?
I think he's at Preston now.
Preston,
he was at Sheffield Wednesday for a season or so. And I was surprised he didn't make it at a higher level. So what's the view on Fellaini then? Because I have to say he's got many critics at United. Not too many people or too many fans really believe him to be a United quality player. Yet Moyes, Van Gaal and Mourinho all play him regularly.
Yeah, and he sort of looks to be coming into his own a little bit under Mourinho now. But Belgian fans quite like him actually. I think there's something about him. I mean, Roberto Martinez definitely likes him. I think maybe United fans who see more of Fellaini would disagree with me, but I would say, sort of on balance, perhaps a lot of people who watch the Premier League a lot would say that Moussa Dembele is perhaps a better option in centre midfield. But Martinez actually quite regularly picks Fellaini ahead of him, and not always sort of, as people might imagine, it doesn't always sort of disgruntle the Belgian fans too much. I think they quite like him. They see him as quite a robust option, but also someone who kind of wears the Belgian shirt with pride a lot. And yeah, he's in favour, and that he's, I think there was, by all accounts, I didn't see the Man United game against Sunderland on the weekend, but by all accounts, he put in a good performance, and he was getting a lot of plaudits in the Belgian media for that game.
Yeah, he was decent. I think he probably has one good game in 10, but it's all a little bit chalk and cheese. You know, most of the time he's terrible, and then he puts in a couple of good ones. But the captain's armband yesterday, which certainly caused some debate in social media, I would say. Great, and then. Final question for me. I was kind of curious about Roberto Martinez, because after Wilmots, who's a pretty conservative coach, I guess, looking at it from the outside, Martinez definitely not that. How's that affected the Belgian national team and Belgian football more widely?
Well, he's yet to really have too much of a positive impact on the side. I mean, Belgium really weren't too great over the last international break. I mean, they drew against Greece in the qualifier and then drew against Russia. What I think Martinez has done that has slightly endeared him to the Belgian fans is that he is, so we were saying with Tielemans and Den Donker, he is looking to give these youngsters a run in the first team, and is sort of saying, you know, if you are playing well enough for your club, I will give you a run out. Unfortunately, he is sort of still falling into the kind of the Wilmots trap of having on paper an incredibly good team. I mean, you look at the side, the players on form across Europe in that side, whether it be Hazard, De Bruyne, Radja Dries Mertens, Vertonghen and Alderweireld at Spurs. It's a team that should be doing better, and at the moment, Martinez hasn't got them playing that much better, to be honest, and that's a sort of still a bit of a bone of contention amongst Belgian football fans.
Mm. Okay, cool. I think we'll leave it there. That was fascinating and about a million times better than a preview that Paul and I would have done. The podcast is not known for doing in-depth previews anyway. We spend 50 minutes talking about the game just gone and realised we probably ought to talk about the one coming up. And the Europa League has been difficult because I have to admit I don't watch a lot of Ukrainian football or even French football. And I don't think I've seen a Belgian league game in quite a number of years. So this has been a really fascinating insight into Anderlecht. And thanks a lot, George.
No, thanks for having me on. Been good talking.
There you go.
Excellent. And thank you very much to George for coming on, and Football Radar for for at least some of your data analytics needs, especially as regards the Belgian top division, apparently.
Someone's got to watch it, and these guys are doing the hard graft, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. So a team that we can probably be reasonably qualified to preview United's game against, it's a massive season-defining clash. Sky Sports hype machine is going to be cranking into overdrive. We got
is City playing Tottenham next weekend?
The personal is ramped up to the maximum. The professional is a huge amount at stake. What's going to happen? It's red versus blue. Man United against Chelsea at Old Trafford. Is it going to be better than last time, Ed?
I hope so.
Well, the time before last, let's say. I mean, the last time was frustrating, but the real bad one was the one before that, wasn't it?
Yes, I can't imagine United are going to lose 4-0 at home. We don't concede too many goals at home, hardly any at all. Don't score too many at home either, but, you know. So it's going to be 6-6 or something like that. I mean, Chelsea, good victory over Bournemouth this weekend, and obviously they sort of ground out that victory against City the weekend before. It definitely wasn't guaranteed. Good quality game, that one. But they lost to Palace not that long ago. You wonder whether, you know, with the end in sight, either the pressure is cranking up, especially with Spurs playing so well at the moment, or conversely, did they start to believe they'd already won it and so took their foot off the gas? I'm not sure if this is the Chelsea of 2 or 3 months ago. I'm just trying to talk my way into a possible United victory here.
I mean, they lost to Crystal Palace, but they've played twice since, including against Man City, and won both of those games. So, you know, I'm not entirely convinced by this logic. And also,
hey, if United win their next game 3-0, be 1 point behind City with the same goal difference.
Yeah.
Just saying. I mean, City have not had a great season, have they?
No, but United's next game is against Chelsea at home. So I don't know how likely it is they're going to win their next game 3-0. I mean, City are not having a great season, but they are having a better second half of the season. Well, kind of most recent third of a season, I guess, after an excellent start and a shaky middle period. They've sort of got it together a bit. Basically, what I'm saying is, just because I don't buy the Chelsea wobble theory, really.
No, but it's a little vacillation, right? It's not full wobble.
Yeah, it's a shudder. The Chelsea are having a brief shudder. They've got goosebumps, but that's it.
I mean, look, this is for United. This is coming 3 days after the Anderlecht tie. At least it's an afternoon kickoff, not 11:30 on a Sunday morning or something nonsense like that.
And at least it's Belgium and not Russia.
Yeah. So they'll get back at a reasonable time on Thursday night. I mean, it's not honestly that much different than if United had a game in London. Chelsea clearly have a whole week to prepare, though.
And that's been the story of Chelsea's season to a certain extent, hasn't it? Like, no Europe has been a massive advantage for them and for Liverpool too, really. And United have suffered a lot from being in the Europa League. And if they're not careful, they're going to suffer from being in the Europa League all over again next season. But hopefully we'll somehow win our way out of it. I mean, you have to say that whatever optimism you could muster... I mean, it is hard to muster a lot of optimism for this game, given what a sort of machine Chelsea are, that Palace game aside, and that Anderlecht game, and what generally the Europa League's done to us all season. And just the fact that straight up and down, like, Chelsea are better than us this season. They're a team that's really found its groove. They've got 75 points in the league, plus 40 goal difference. They're kind of cruising to the title. And we are desperately clawing our way into fourth place. So, I don't know.
No, sure. Logic says that this is going to be the game United lose the unbeaten league run. But look back to the Palace game. They had 27% possession, 3 shots on target, 2 of which they scored with. If there's any manager who can pull that kind of thing off, it's Mourinho. Although it's interesting. The other thing is, Chelsea are so solid defensively, but at least they will attack, which has been the problem with most of United's drop points at Old Trafford, hasn't it? Unable to break down stubborn defences. Not that, as I pointed out earlier in the show, United score on the counter-attack.
But they definitely play better when they've got some room to play in, don't they? I mean, I wonder whether Mourinho will play that very, specific 4-1-2-2-2-2 formation or whatever it was that he played against Chelsea last time and employ. I mean, Jones is injured, isn't he? So he can't put Jones on Hazard. I wonder whether he'd try and put Fellaini on Hazard or something, but that'd be a disaster.
Oh, I mean, it would be a disaster because Fellaini can't do that job. He just cannot do it. Hazard will be dancing around him and, at least Jones is, he's not the most mobile, but at least he's a bit more mobile.
Yeah, and he's, people he gets a lot of criticism, Phil Jones, but he does read the game quite well when he's on form, which Fellaini, I don't think you would say that about. I wonder whether we might match Chelsea, which is something that a lot of teams have done this season with mixed success. Spurs obviously had a lot of joy doing it, but matching them for the 3-4-3. The only question...
It feels like a total disaster. I mean, we'll see if United go out to Anderlecht and play 3 at the back. Yeah. Certainly haven't played 3-4-3 in any kind of honest sense.
No.
United played pretty much flat back 7 when we did that before.
Yeah. I wonder whether we'll play a flat back 7 and try and hit them on the break. I mean, it seems unlikely given that he's obviously not going to drop Ibrahimovic. So how would you line up the team against Chelsea?
I'd try and sneak an extra man in there and see if the ref noticed.
I think I'll go De Gea. Let's assume Valencia's back. De Gea, Valencia, Bailly, Rocco. Sure, I guess. I can't see Mourinho doing that, but it'd be nice. And then I think I'd go 4-2-3-1. I think I'd play Pogba and Herrera and Mkhitaryan, Martial, maybe even Mkhitaryan, Martial and Rashford. Mkhitaryan, Martial, Lingard and Ibrahimovic up front. I think that's
the only problem with that, of course, is that Chelsea would have basically have an extra man in midfield. I mean, it just depends on the wide players, I think. He's going to want to pull one extra player back, I'm sure. So I think it's more likely that either Carrick or Fellaini play.
Yeah.
To try and make 3 in there. But
he seems to have slightly given up on Carrick as well. So
yeah, hasn't played a lot recently. I mean, of course, Carrick is ageing and not been offered a new contract yet.
Yeah. So I think if it's Carrick or Fellaini, I think we're probably saying it's Fellaini in that situation. Anyway, we need the captain leader Belgian in the side.
Mm.
Anyway, should we predict some scores? I feel ill-equipped to predict the score against Anderlecht, and
yeah, but we always do anyway. So.
I'm very reluctant to pick a score, the score I actually think it'll be against Chelsea.
You have to pick a score because we even predicted scores against like FC Zoria and other ridiculous teams that we'd never seen play before.
Okay. I'm gonna say that we're gonna beat Belgian people because it's what we do. 2-0 against Anderlecht. And you pick your Anderlecht score first.
I'm going to say 1-1 over in Anderlecht.
Okay, good. That's Brett's law of averages. Man United, fair. I think Chelsea are going to win 2-1.
Oh, how can you? I
do though. Sadly, I think they'll beat us.
No, I'm going to say I don't know how to predict a win. Really don't. So I'm going to say 1-1 in that one too.
Okay, all right. I feel like we could have just picked 1-1 every game all season, and it would have been our best run of results ever in terms of guessing the right score.
Yeah, I mean, look, in a way, Jose was right to rest some players against Sunderland, and because the Europa League really does offer a good opportunity. If you look at the quality of the clubs left, they're good clubs, but not great clubs. A bit like United's team at the moment, I suppose. Ajax. Who haven't been a force for many, many years. Schalke, who definitely aren't a force at the moment. Genk, who are probably one of the more informed teams. Besiktas, Lyon. Memphis can't play, of course. So, it's not... I wonder whether it's not the Europa League of the last couple of seasons. No Sevilla in there.
Well, that's what everyone's saying. I just don't have any faith in us delivering on a consistent basis. That's the problem. But, when it came to it, we won the League Cup, which was basically the same. The League Cup was really the domestic equivalent of the Europa League, wasn't it? We didn't have to go through any amazing teams. And so, yeah, that's, we're definitely in with a shot. So it does make sense to prioritise it. And also, we've blown the top 4 chances so badly that we kind of have to prioritise the Europa League, don't we? So. Right, well, Patreon backers, stay tuned. Everyone else, we'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.